By providing customer service and simply being able to have a conversation with folks about value, I found that they'll trust me more over time because they know that I'm going to communicate why I can do something, and I'm also going to communicate why I cannot do something.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
And welcome everybody to the program. Dustin Harris hanging out with you once again in the podcast chair. Really appreciate you, each and every one of you. Folks, I see these numbers are going through the roof. All kinds of listeners out there. The most listened to appraiser-related podcast in the world. Thank you for joining me. I have a great guest coming up. I want to pause here to remind you that we are sponsored by three great companies. One of them, of course, being Working RE Magazine. That's where I go to get the news as to what's going on in the world of appraisal, the valuation world that I've decided to make my career. It's workingre.com is where you go to find out more. Workingre.com. A la mode, of course, helping me for over 2 decades and helping you to be a better appraiser, business owner, and a better appraiser, helping you to be more efficient. It's alamode.com or 800 Alamode. Finally, we are sponsored by the great people over at DataMaster. DataMaster, saving appraisers time, increasing their quality, doing both of those things at the touch of a finger. It is datamasterusa.com, datamasterusa.com. Well, folks, on a regular basis, I love to have appraisers across the nation who listen to this program, who are willing to tell their story and tell us a little bit about who they are. And we call it Appraiser Stories. And we have a great appraiser from Northern California. His name is Levi Thomas, and he has chosen to join us today. Levi, welcome to the program, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Dustin. Been a fan for a long time.
Well, I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule for us to get to know you a little bit better. And with that, let's get to know you a little bit better. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
I just turned 40, so that's a new thing that I'm grappling with. September was 16 years for me officially, almost 17 if you count an apprentice before I had my training license.
Okay, we'll count it. That's where you earned your stripes, man.
That was where all the grunt work took place.
That's right.
We have been doing it 16 years and absolutely love the industry, love the profession, and I love platforms like yours where we can get out and see what other appraisers are doing and collaborate with other appraisers, because I think that the one negative thing you can say about us is that we're an isolated bunch.
Very much. Although that's changing. Don't you think that's changing through COVID? It seems like more and more appraisers are reaching out for help through this, right?
I do. I think it's made a lot of people question how they've been running their business. We've all been so stinking busy, and I think we're all blessed to have been busy through COVID, but
sure.
Whether it's an unmanageable high volume workload or not enough work, it's given us a lot of opportunity to really step back and look at how we want to shape our business.
Right. Speaking of, tell us a little bit about your business. What's your setup look like there?
So I have a little appraisal firm where we're basically a co-op. We all share space for offices, secretary, accounting, and software. So we basically just get to show up and work. Everything else is taken care of for us. So it's a really nice setup that we have going.
The same company name, or are there multiple company names in the same building?
All individual.
Wow.
They do get their checks sent here so we can handle all of the accounting for them. Even though everybody, including myself as an independent contractor, we get a check every 2 weeks for the volume that's been paid in. And so it really takes a lot of the administrative side off. So with that comes a secretary, comes with office space. Although most folks do work from home or they come in, it's about 50-50. Yeah. And it's just a real blessing to be able to just go to work, get your files, and you don't have to worry about chasing down money or getting yourself paid every week or 2 weeks or any of that.
I love this idea. What comes to mind, and tell me if this is along the same paths of what you're thinking here, but kind of a doctor's office. You've got individual doctors that have kind of their quote unquote own practice, but they collaborate, co-op together to share secretarial work and nurses and assistants and that kind of thing. Is that kind of what you have set up there?
That's exactly it.
Very cool.
That's exactly it. And it's great because we've got one guy, we call him our senior chief appraiser.
Okay.
He was one of the first 100 to get licensed in the state. And he tells stories about how when he did FHA appraisals that you did them in pencil for when the underwriter wanted to make changes. And we've got some kids down that are in their mid-20s, so we've got a diverse group here. And the benefit of that is being able to get insight when you have difficult appraisal situations where you can go from the old tried and true experienced appraiser to somebody that's younger that might think about a problem a little bit more dynamically or have a different thought. And so for us, it's just beneficial to know that you can just barge into somebody's office, say, hey, take a look at this,
right,
and get 2 or 3 different points of view. And while there are all the Facebook pages you can go to and get input, you're not inundated with everybody's I'm right, you're wrong opinion. You can sit there and you can ballpark it and work it around with everybody. And that just helps everybody, for one, to fix that problem, but two, to know that we know how to address that moving forward. We've dealt with it, and I've had an opinion from 4 or 5 different appraisers weigh in on it.
Yeah, and I know you said about 50% of them work from home, but I'm envisioning in my mind kind of a bullpen type atmosphere where you can raise your hand and say, yeah, I got a good one here. What would you guys do with this, right? Do you find yourself collaborating quite often with individuals that might have had experience with things that you're dealing with?
Oh yeah, yeah. When we try to recruit people to come in, a lot of people don't want to give up a fee split to come work for the company because they're looking at. I mean, I'm sure you know all about this. I don't need to explain it to you, but the benefit of not having to do any of the administrative work, you walk in and it's plug and play. To me, I can't imagine trying to do it on my own or then start over and train new folks. And for the younger appraisers coming up, I feel that it sets them up to be more successful, and that there's data entry people here, and you can just toss your files on their desk, go do your inspections, come back, and it's fully typed and written up for you, ready to go.
How cool.
You don't have to sit there and run to the bank and get your checks. You don't have to worry about how to figure out how to pay yourself. It's all handled. And of course, the company doesn't pay out until the appraiser's been paid out, but they're consistently getting a check every 2 weeks, which helps for finances in a massive way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know what to plan for. So I introduced you as being from California. I might have even said Northern California. Tell me a little bit about the area that you work in. What sets it apart? What makes it unique, Levi?
Primarily, I'm right outside Sacramento, so the same area as Ryan Lundquist, who's been on the show before. And Ryan's fantastic. I'm probably on his website 3 or 4 times a week. He's
sure. Yeah. Great information out
the
there.
Greater Sacramento area, I cannot think of a better area to appraise than the Greater Sacramento marketplace. It's got a large metropolitan city area, but it's got massive suburbs around it. We've got the community foothills. So you could be in one day, you could be in a very small niche college town. Mm-hmm. And then an hour later, you're up appraising a 30-acre property that's equestrian style, or you're appraising a $2-3 million mansion around a lake. Mm-hmm. So we've got a diversity. Traffic here, even when it's bad, is never really all that bad, especially if you're comparing it to places like the Bay Area or Los Angeles. Sure. It's one of the areas where you could easily cover 8 to 10 houses in a day if you planned it right. Wow,
that's ambitious, my friend. Very cool. I'm curious, not to get into the fine details, but with this co-op situation, you've got orders coming in. Do they get distributed based on your ability to take them, or do they go to a specific appraiser based on order? Tell me a little bit about how that, I'm just fascinated by the whole co-op situation.
Everybody has their own clients, their own work. So when they get an order, they simply notify the front desk person to set it up. So everybody's got their own clients that brings in their own work. We don't hand out or divvy work. However, as a collective group here, we've developed a reputation that they know that there can be a single point of contact at our front desk. So oftentimes AMCs, they're aware that we're all in the same office, will reach out and say, we've got these 3 or 4, or we just got this one hard property. Would you mind reaching out to your team to see if anybody's willing to take this? So by and large, it's all our individual work. We don't assign orders. We don't hand out orders to anybody. They all get their own work. But one of the benefits is that you can be out in the field and an AMC will call, and you may not be able to pick up the phone, but they know that they can call your office and they can get a hold of you quicker. And if I can't do it, somebody else in the office can do it. So it turns out to be where you become a go-to group for certain lenders or AMCs, because they know that, if Levi can't take it, he's going to go ask 2 or 3 of the people in his office if they can take it for this lender. So
it's them running around trying to find their appraiser. It allows them to kind of one-stop shop, really.
Exactly. And I think a lot of appraisers in areas should co-op together and create their own office space. There's so much work out there. I don't think we're in competition with each other.
I agree.
You're in competition to get on a panel for sure. But once you're on that panel, we've all helped each other get on other panels that we've had no luck to get onto before.
Yeah.
And so it's worked out really well for us. And like I said, just the collaborative environment of being able to barge into your office worker's door and say, what would you do about this adjustment? Or what would you do about this situation? And get instant feedback from multiple people. I love it. I think it's invaluable.
Perfect. I love it. So you've got 16 years doing this. Tell me about one of your most disturbing / scary encounters you've had as an appraiser.
Man, I have had a bunch. I have had.
Well, you're in California.
Yeah.
Scary, right?
I've had to fight off a homeless guy that just got out of jail wanting money, and I didn't have money. I've had to, one of the funniest ones is picture walking up to a little ranch house where the front door is a little 3x2 little cupboard area.
Sure.
This is back in the recession, the foreclosure days. I had 2 pit bulls come in the yard, chase me. And I walked my back and legs up this wall because they were coming after me. And I was sitting there with my clipboard trying to smack them in the nose until they went away, while my head smashed against the ceiling and my legs are shaking because I've pushed myself up this wall. And then I had one, I think the most frightening that really scared me was in the foreclosure days. I went to go do an REO duplex, completely boarded up, no utilities. I had to go get a headlamp from Home Depot so I could see and take pictures.
Okay.
I go in there and I'm looking around. I walk into a room and there was 3 homeless people crowded in a corner looking up at me like they were wild animals. And the only way they could have gotten to this house was through the crawl space in the subfloor. So they had gotten in there and it looked like Night of the Living Dead. I mean, I think I probably cursed and peed and then ran. They were surprised as me as I was them, but it was frightening to think that there were people in this house that was boarded up with no access.
Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine, my friend. I guarantee I would pee myself and run the other direction. Tell me, if that's not funny enough, tell us a humorous thing that you've encountered on your appraisals.
It was my first year of being licensed, and I went to do an appraisal, and it was two ladies in their 50s. So I was in my mid 20s at the time. They were having a staycation. It was about 9 or 10 in the morning. They had already been drinking quite a bit.
Okay.
They had
Sure,
put,
why not?
if you know what a soft tub is, those portable hot tubs.
Okay.
They lived in a townhouse condo, and they put a tarp down and put one of those in their living room. And I knock on the door, they tell me to come in, and they were sitting there in their birthday suits.
Oh my God.
Drinking, and they wanted me to get in the hot tub with them.
Well, gee, why not? I mean, you got nothing else.
And that was, I did have appraisals to do, but that wasn't quite the invite that I was hoping for in my mid 20s. And so I had to politely decline.
Good for you. That was probably wise. Probably wise. We're talking with Levi Thomas out of Northern California. I've been sharing some great stories with us about appraising that area. I want to pause here and remind you of three great sponsors here on the program, folks. These are the companies that keep us moving and keep you moving as an appraiser. One of them being Alamode. Alamode, of course, is they're the leader out there in report writing software. There's a reason for that, folks. They have the value that you need as an appraiser. The cost/value, or the ROI, as they say, is huge with this company. If you're with any other company, folks, I implore you to check out Alamode. You can go to their website. That's one way of finding out more, alamode.com, or I would encourage you to pick up the phone and call them. Talk to a live person. Ask them what the difference is between the software that you are currently using and what they can offer you. And that you will be shocked. You'll be surprised at what Alamode can do for you. There's a reason, again, that they lead the industry. It's 800 Alamode, or 1-800 Alamode. Datamaster, of course, helping to save appraisers time. And of course, appraisers that save time save money. Datamaster allows you to be able to save about 30 to 60 minutes per report. How is that, Dustin? Well, they take data that you would have to manually enter yourself, and they put it right in your report. They take it from your source, whether it be the tax records or the MLS, and import it directly into the report. No, you don't have to fill out the MC sheet. It's filled out for you. No, you don't have to fill out the top of page 1. It's filled out for you. No, you don't have to put your comps in one by one. They're put in for you. Datamasterusa.com, datamasterusa.com. Finally, we are sponsored today by Working RE Magazine. Speaking of California, Working RE is based in San Diego, California, but they are informed across the nation as to what's going on in the appraisal world, folks. It's a one-stop shop. If you want to know what's going on in your industry and where the industry is going, so you can plan as a business owner to move forward, Working RE is where it's at. It's free, folks. It's free to be on their list to get the information that they share with appraisers. WorkingRE.com. Again, WorkingRE.com. And welcome back to the program, everybody. Mr. Levi Thomas on the line. Levi, I have to admit, it's kind of funny talking to you. I've got a neighbor named Levi Thomas. Of course, he's 12 years old, so I don't assume it's the same person. But welcome to the program. Thank you for being on and sharing your story.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So you've been in this long enough. Tell us, inspire us a little bit. And when I say inspire, I mean, talk to us so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Would you mind sharing your biggest failure?
Biggest failure was not getting certified when the recession crashed. At the time, I was licensed. You could do FHA work at the time.
Yeah, you could.
And I knew that I was still young, and I knew that I should be working towards it. But as the recession was going down, I was getting busier and busier. I was scooping up clients left and right. Little did I not really pay attention to HVC coming around the way, and that just smacked me like a ton of bricks. And so my volume had dropped significantly. And had I been certified, no doubt things were slower, but I would have been good, still been making a good income as opposed to just getting enough to get by for that period of time. So biggest failure was not getting fully certified in time.
Sounds like a typical, and I deal with this all the time when it comes to, my coaching and appraisers and just dealing with life. We get so busy working in our business that we forget to step back and work on our business. Biggest success, my friend?
I think biggest success is just being able to get out and network and provide people with customer service. I grew up in the Napa Valley where everything is pretty much service and customer oriented. And I learned very young, my mom was my manager where I was a lifeguard at this spa. And she said, you're not going to win arguments with people. What you got to do is kill them with kindness. And so I took that lesson. And then my first mentor telling me that telling people what their value or their home isn't worth what they think, need, or want is like calling their kids ugly. There's no easy way to do it. You've got to find a way to tactfully explain it. And so by providing customer service and simply being able to have a conversation with folks about value, I found that they'll trust me more over time because they know that I'm going to communicate why I can do something, and I'm also going to communicate why I cannot do something. And I think it's easy for us as appraisers to hide behind the AMC as a firewall and not provide that customer service at times, or take it personal when a borrower is upset that you didn't count their ceiling fan or their plantation shutters. It gives you an opportunity to then turn around and educate them and explain why those things matter or don't matter, or they only have a minimal contribution to value. And so I think my biggest success by far is simply being able to communicate And the one that I'm still struggling with, I think we all do, is to not take a lot of it personal.
Yeah, it's hard. It's tough, but I can tell you've got the charisma and the ability to teach others, and I think that's a huge asset in a profession that sometimes is a little bit lonely. So good for you. Where do you see the profession going forward, say in the next couple of years, Levi?
If you were to ask me before COVID, I would have guessed in the next couple of years there would be some of the significant changes that Fannie Mae and the bifurcated products were trying to implement. However, I feel, and I really thought at the beginning of COVID that we were going to see nothing but desktop and exterior work. I think from the beginning of COVID to present, I've maybe done 8 or 10 desktop or drive-bys, and I've had record volume ever since. So I think COVID has really highlighted the fact that physical inspections by appraisers are necessary. So in 4 or 5 years, I have no doubt that technology is going to creep in and take over a portion of our business. It already has. I mean, look at the guy in my office who was doing appraisals in pencil or on a typewriter, up to where we are now. So that was within my lifetime in his professional career. So looking forward, you can't deny that technology is going to do something to us moving forward. But I think, as you've always talked about, being able to embrace it, know those changes are coming, know how to prepare yourself for them, and be on the beginning crest of that wave so you don't slow down on any work and you come out as an industry leader for your area is what's going to set you apart. So I think we're going to be fine. When I first started appraising, my mother was a lender during the savings and loan crisis, and she didn't think that I should be an appraiser because it wasn't a safe job. And the mentor at the time simply told me, let's tell your mom that as long as people need money, they're going to need appraisals. And I've found that to be true by and large over the span of time that I've been doing this.
Very cool.
That they're always going to need appraisals. And you out there and everybody listening knows it. AVMs and Zillow and anything that you can try to take the appraiser out of it is just not accurate or supportable. And granted, there's times where it makes sense for rate and term refis, things like that. But I think by and large, we're going to be needed to some capacity one way or another.
Love it. Great words of encouragement, which leads me to my next question. One helpful tip that you can give, and not to put you on the spot, Levi, but thousands of appraisers are listening to this. What's a helpful tip that you can give them?
Get a data entry person and organize with other appraisers and get an office. Working from home can be fun, but I think that it also can limit us in some capacities in terms of just becoming more isolated. So data entry, a secretary if you can manage it, and get a shared workspace with some other appraisers.
Love it. Great advice. You ready for the lightning round, my friend?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here we go. Question number 1, inside out or outside in?
Outside in.
Tape roller or laser?
Laser.
Awesome. I'm afraid to ask this next question because you said you were fighting them off with a clipboard, but tablet, computer, or clipboard and pen?
I am iPad laser. That clipboard story was from about 2010 or so. Shortly after is when I found your videos measuring the house with the laser and the iPad, and I quickly jumped on. And if I may, a quick recommendation for people who are reluctant to use the iPad and the laser. I appraised a 16,000 square foot house before I had the iPad. I took 6 pages of legal size grid paper, taped them together and folded it like a map. It took me about 5 hours. Went back and did the neighboring house that was 15,000 square feet 6 months later. So 1,000 square feet smaller, but still insanely large. And using the iPad, I was able to get it done in about 45 minutes. And part of that savings is not only being able to do it on the iPad, but being able to dictate your notes as you walk through, opposed to sitting there and writing them down and trying, at least for me, trying to read my own horrible handwriting later. It makes them, because it's so easy to just walk through and explain the features and improvements of the house. And I save it as both an audio file and the audio to text conversion file. So it's, as I'm writing the report, I just play back and have to listen to my own voice while I write the property features. I
love this, man. What a great piece of advice. Appraisal software.
I do use ACI.
Okay. And favorite thing to do when you're not appraising?
I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. So anything that I can do with my wife and my kids where I'm not thinking about work is my favorite thing to do right now.
I love it, man. Man, what a great answer. And your one goal for this year, Levi?
My one goal, if I could end this year, I think I've had a really good year this year. Moving into the next year, next year would be to, I do a good amount of volume, but I'm working entirely too much at it. And so it's going to really be to taking a process that's already pretty sufficient and really trying to streamline it and make it significantly more efficient to where I'm doing the same volume, but I usually get up at 4 and work for an hour or two before my kids get up. And then at night, I usually work for a little bit after they go to bed. So if I could eliminate the morning and the evening work and keep it during the day and still get the same volume, I'll be a very happy appraiser. Levi Thomas, Sacramento area. Thank you, my friend, for joining me. Thank you, Dustin. And folks, if you would like to be a part of this great appraiser stories, ask simple questions, folks. Just simple questions, simple answers. Just us getting to know you. Reach out to me or my assistant. You can reach me at thecoach@theappraisercoach.com, or my assistant is the assistant at theappraisercoach.com, and we will catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
Oh, I lost you, Levi.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
The older appraiser.
Editor,
I am coming back. I'm trying to move a little bit.
No, that's fine. Editor, I'm gonna back up to that pause. So I had just asked the question, and we'll just go from there. Do you find yourself collaborating with other appraisers that may have had that experience before?